for once again choosing to join us for Devotions with Brother Aaron. I appreciate so very much you inviting me into your time of devotion every day, Monday through Friday, wherever that may be. I know some listen on the patio petting their dog. Some are listening on their way to work. Some are listening on breaks, whether it be lunch or whatever. Some are listening in the evening and night before they go to bed. I appreciate you however you're doing this. I just appreciate you joining with us to do this. Today's devotion is entitled, Exhausted but Still in Pursuit. In the book of Judges, we find the story of Gideon. Most likely you're familiar with this story. God called Gideon, a farmer, to organize and lead the children of Israel into battle against their tormentors, the Midianites. However, the problem was that Gideon considered himself the most unlikely and unqualified leader God had ever called. Gideon balked at the idea. To support his view of himself as an inadequate leader, he made the argument that he was the least in his family was least in the tribe of Benjamin, and Benjamin was the least of all the tribes. Yet the angel of God referred to him as a mighty man of valor. Isn't it amazing that we often see ourselves vastly different from how God and others see us? Anyway, Gideon finally accepted the leadership task that God had assigned him and began to raise an army. Initially, this army consisted of 32,000 men, which God promptly whittled down to 10,000, and eventually all the way down to 300. So, with only 300 men, Gideon went to battle against the Midianites. Of course, God intervened on Gideon's behalf, and the Midianites were defeated. As Gideon and his men pursued the Midianites, the Bible records a very interesting phrase. In Judges 8:4, it says, "And Gideon came to Jordan and passed over, he and the 300 men that were with him, faint, yet pursuing them." In Aaron English, that would read, exhausted, but still in pursuit. In life, especially the Christian life, some of our greatest defeats come hard on the heels of our greatest victories. Let me repeat that. In the Christian life, some of our greatest defeats come hard on the heels of our greatest victories. Now, why is that? Now, there are many reasons. But I think the most obvious would be that after the initial victory, with all its glitz and glamour, we lose sight of the importance of pursuing the enemy until total victory has been achieved. This means that partial victory is really no victory at all. Hear that again. Partial victory is really no victory at all. This means total victory cannot occur until we have pursued the enemy to the farthest realms that he has fled and have defeated him. This is not for the faint of heart. It requires great commitment, great stamina, and singleness of heart. It means that without regard to self, we pursue total victory. Herein is the rub. All too often, we pursue the enemy to a point of personal fatigue. At that point, fatigue causes us to surrender our pursuit of the enemy to another enemy. That enemy has the name of good enough. Consequently, total victory is not achieved, the enemy regroups, and tragically, a great failure follows our great victory. The truth of the lesson today is that Gideon and his men, even when exhausted, stayed engaged in the battle. This ensured total victory. My encouragement to you today regardless of what battles you may be engaged in and how exhausted you are, is to stay engaged in the pursuit of your enemy until you have totally defeated him or until God says it's enough. There's another phrase from an Old Testament story that caught my attention. In 2 Kings, we find that King Ben-Hadad had besieged Samaria. The siege was so severe that the Samaritans ate the heads of donkeys, the waste from doves, and boiled and ate their young children. In 2 Kings 7:1, Elisha tells them that by this time tomorrow, the siege will be over. In just 24 short hours, everything would be back to normal. The lesson is simple. Don't quit even when exhausted or besieged. In a moment of time, whether it is with an army of 300 men facing a vastly superior force, or through a prophet speaking a word from God, everything can change. So do not stop fighting the good fight of faith. I know you're exhausted, but who knows what will transpire in your world by this time tomorrow if you just keep on keeping on for Jesus. No surrender, no retreat, no stopping, no turning back. Exhausted? Yeah, but still in pursuit. Lord, I believe that somebody here in this devotion today is at the point of physical, mental, and spiritual exhaustion and is ready to throw in the towel and quit. Lord, whoever that is, would you make them understand that you orchestrated this word of encouragement specifically for them? You, sir, placed this word on the heart of a 71-year-old preacher who, sitting all alone in an upstairs studio, recorded it and uploaded it to the internet. You, sir, orchestrated the day, the place, and the time for them to hear you say, "Don't quit. Keep on keeping on for me." You don't know what I may cause to happen in your circumstances by this time tomorrow. So don't surrender, don't retreat, don't stop, and don't turn back. I know you're exhausted, but stay in the pursuit. And Jesus, I pray this in your name. Amen and amen.